Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for Victoria and Abdul. So Victoria and Abdul stars Judi Dench, who plays Queen Victoria, and it revolves around the story of a relationship that came from Queen Victoria and a poor Indian man named Abdul, who came from India to present something to the Queen, and when they had eye contact with one another, they suddenly became interested and they began talking with one another, and soon enough a friendship blossomed between them that had many repercussions on both of their lives. This is based on a true story that was actually hidden for a lot of years, which is part of the reason my curiosity was piqued. Apparently, all of the things that showed their relationship, like diaries and that kind of stuff, it was all burned and completely erased from history, so none of it really remained. They eventually found it in the journals of the Indian man Abdul, and from there they investigated it and made a film about it. And while I will say that Victoria and Abdul does have an interesting premise, I cannot say the same about the film. Unfortunately, this movie could have been much better than it is, but does end up coming out quite disappointing. The biggest issue with Victoria and Abdul is how early it jumps into a lot of things. I think that if this movie had a longer run time and more time to develop things, it could have been a lot better, because a lot of the subplots and a lot of different aspects of the film are very surface level. You don't get anything that's too thorough about them, especially the main focus of the film, the relationship between them. It seems to blossom and develop far too quickly for anyone to be invested in it. It feels like about 10 or 15 minutes in that they're suddenly best friends, and then 30 minutes in is when they try to start laying down some of the heavy themes of the Queen having to worry about ruling over the land and all her friends dying. And it just feels far too quick for something like that. Because of that, I wasn't invested in this movie, and unfortunately, I found it quite uninteresting and quite stale. And that's not something I wanted to say about this movie, because it was ripe with potential for being really great, because the story's really interesting. Unfortunately, it's more of just an interesting story than an interesting film. There's just not enough that happens to run a full 90-minute feature-length film. A lot of it just feels very surface, and a lot of it feels that it shouldn't be in there. The movie has a weird combination of feeling like filler and only going surface on a lot of things. It's a weird combination that really makes the movie lag a lot. Something that was really strong in this movie was, I'm not sure the actor's name, but he played Abdul in it. He was really, really great in the movie with expression, with being sort of not subtle at the beginning, but not overacting or not overbearing a lot, and then at the end he really got to let his emotions flow, which really sort of made for a very satisfying crescendo. But when it came to the other actors, all of it felt very weak, especially Judi Dench, which was hard to see because she's an amazing actress. She's known for being an amazing actress. But in this, she just felt too... It's hard to say exactly, but it sort of felt like she got lazy with the performance, because she never really put emphasis into anything. All of it was just very stale-faced and plain-faced, and it was never anything emotionally gripping in any way. And I think that the movie really hinged on her delivering, and because she didn't deliver all that well, that's a big reason why the movie suffers. Now, this isn't an awful movie in any way. I just couldn't find any interest in it at all. I think that there are people that will enjoy it. People who watch PBS a lot will probably really like it. And I could say that a few people should go and check it out. But unfortunately, it's just a tad too melodramatic, and it never really goes fully into the themes that it could. And because of that, it just feels very surface and very weak. I will give Victoria and Abdul a 4.5 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for Victoria and Abdul. What are your thoughts on this film, or what do you think of Judi Dench as an actor? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.